Yes, indeed. The sounds of March Up Mephisto. That was Camelot here on WoW Radio, the Blue Please show with a Total Biscuit. Now, there were some arguments in the channel over what I had to say about Blizzard. Right, let me clarify a few things. The fault was with Blizzard's PR. Yes, true. However, what do you think PR actually stands for? Public relations. Now, whose relations do you think they're attempting to maintain with the public exactly? Is it the spacemen? Is it the armadillos? Is it the Iranian government? You'd be wrong on all counts. No, it's actually Blizzard. Company PR is meant to maintain public relations with the company. Hence, company PR. That's the whole point. So, why should I be blaming Blizzard? Well, it's quite obvious. The PR are the face of Blizzard. The PR are the people who are supposed to effectively be looking after us and other fan sites and organisations that were attempting to do things at BlizzCon. That was their function. In reality, in this case, we are their public. They failed to do that to a satisfactory level. Now, while it is the fault of Blizzard's PR, it's also the fault of Blizzard. If Blizzard does not know what the right hand is doing, then it should be, quite frankly, ashamed of itself, because its public relations department is damaging its image. We've seen it before. Blizzard's PR is not the best it could be, by any stretch of the imagination. It could be a lot better. Now, whether or not it's the strategy, whether or not it's the system they use, or whether or not it's the actual people, irrelevant. All I know is it could be a heck of a lot better. You never really realise just how much better it could be until you experience treatment firsthand, in real life. It's different from being treated badly over the internet. If I put in a GM request, I expect to get an automated reply. That's fine. They get thousands and thousands a day. That's cool. What I don't expect is flying 5,500 miles to meet up with the organisation I'm involved in, spending a substantial sum of money, and then getting treated like dirt, when our sole purpose is to broadcast the event out of our own pockets. Pleased? No. Disappointed? Yes. Justified? Absolutely. And that's really the whole crux of the matter. I've never really had anything negative to say about Blizzard before, but in this case, I believe this has to be said. I disagree with the way we were treated. I find it, quite frankly, disgusting, and I think that Blizzard should be ashamed of themselves for it. And if anyone else was treated in that manner, then they have my sympathies. If anyone else was not treated in that manner, then Blizzard have my ire, and my anger and disappointment that an organisation was singled out, especially an organisation who is not commercial grade, who is effectively surviving on listener donations. Oh dear. Stress and stress and stress. Okay, let's get on to some positive stuff. Expansion. We've all heard about it. We've all, hopefully, seen the trailer, looked at the website, and we know what features it involves. Let's see. I'm going to go to the World of Warcraft site right now, and I shall reel off the features. Now, basically the rest of the show is going to be dealing with those features, and what I believe should be implemented, what I believe shouldn't be implemented, what I believe is a total pile of crap, and what I believe is the best idea since sliced bread. It's that simple. And the first, and possibly the most controversial topic, and rightly so in my opinion, is the increase in level cap. Now, some of you will be aware that a few weeks ago, before BlizzCon, I addressed the idea of a level cap increase, and I said it's a bad idea. Now, here's my justification for that. And then I shall tell you if my opinion has changed or not. My justification for saying that an increase in level cap is a bad idea has several facets to it. The first facet is that, in my opinion, it is lazy content. Why is it lazy content, you may ask? We've seen it before. Level caps have been increased in many MMORPGs as a stopgap measure of keeping people playing the game. Generally speaking, it served no practical purpose other than to artificially extend the lifespan of a game that was failing. But this game isn't failing. Not at all. It's on a high note. So why do we need a level cap increase? My second reason for disliking the idea of a level cap increase is the idea that it punishes more casual players. There are some players who have not got to 60 yet, especially on European realms. Obviously we started, 6 months after you lot? They're not at 60 yet, they're still leveling. And to put the concept of, well, you're going to have to get another 10 levels, and they're all going to be so much harder than the last 10, in front of someone is a little bit upsetting. I've been level 60 for quite a while, but I've never had a problem with being level 60 and not having ground. In fact, when I got to 60, I rejoiced, and I'm still rejoicing at this very moment. The idea of grinding is a linear progress from one point to another, which takes a considerable amount of time. Where people say grinding for equipment, they are generally wrong. To grind for equipment would be to kill mobs over and over and over again until you got the right amount of money. It's a linear thing. If my new Sword of Eternal Doom costs 200 gold and I have 50, I can see and watch a linear grind from 50 to 200 gold. If I'm level 58 and I want to be level 59, I can see and experience a linear grind from level 58 to 59 by watching the experience bar. Now, if I want to, quote, grind, unquote, molten core equipment, that is not a linear grind. Why? Because it's not a linear progression from point A to point B. I never know when that equipment is going to drop. I never know if I will win that equipment or not. That's not a linear progression. There is no guarantee there. So, is molten core, are higher end instances a grind? The simple answer, in my opinion, is no, they are not. You've got to examine the reason you are going in that instance in the first place. Is it to improve yourself? Is it to have fun? Is it to improve your guild? Is it to meet new challenges and defeat them? Is it a combination of all the things I've just said? Is it none of those? I don't know. But either way, it's not a grind. And that was why I was happy when I hit 60. It's not a grind. It's hard work, but it's not a grind, because it's not a linear progression from point A to point B. Now, I got an email through quite recently to my contact email address, themurloc@gmail.com. Feel free to send any feedback you like through there. And it was a guy basically saying that what I was saying was a myth, that the grind did continue at level 60, and he gave a lot of reasons for it. And I disagreed for the reasons I've just given. It's not a grind, because it's not a linear progression. To be a grind, in my opinion, it must be a linear progression from point A to point B. Now, to introduce 10 more levels would be to introduce a further grind. It's a linear progression from point A to point B, level 60 to level 70. How do you get there? By gaining experience. How do you gain experience? Quests and mobs. It's that simple. Quests and mobs. A linear progression. Now, you can mask that linear progression all you like with quests, and it's good that they're doing that, because quite frankly, if they didn't, it would be a lot more dull. Quite frankly, it would be a duller experience than it is now. That's cool, but it does not eliminate the fact that it's still a grind. It is. It's a grind. And to add 10 more levels adds an additional grind. That's going to upset some people. It upset me. I was under the impression that I would not have to do that anymore. And that any progression further on would not be via experience or levels, it would be via equipment. Now, I had the chance to chat to Aeonix in a casual chat, outside the BlizzCon before it actually went on. The night before, in fact. There was a lot of people out there. I met a lot of great people out there. And shout out to any one of those who is listening right now. You rock. Aeonix is one of the most intelligent and easy to talk to people I've ever met. He seems to know exactly what he's talking about. That's cool. I listened to him talk, and I asked him outright. What are you doing about the level cap? So, his answer was quite simple. Level cap will be increasing to level 70. Now, my face fell at this point. I was thinking, oh dear, this is sort of my worst nightmare. And I said, in fact, Kikijiki said this, who was also there in the conversation. He said, why are you increasing the level cap? Don't you think this is just lazy content? Aeonix thought about this for a second and he replied, and the reply was satisfactory. Now, what Aeonix assured me was that this level 60 to 70 content is going to be the best content in the game. They've spent more time on it than they have on level 1 to 60. He also said to me that the current endgame was never intended to be the end of all endgames. What it is, in fact, is the first endgame. It's a milestone, and unless you count level 40, which I don't, there is no other milestone in WoW. The milestone is going to be, in fact, level 60. The current endgame is going to be a pre-endgame to the real endgame. Okay, that's fine. Does it eliminate the fact there's going to be a grind involved? No. Will the grind be worthwhile? Maybe. I refuse to speculate on that based on the fact that we have not seen any of the new quests, although we have seen some of the new areas. There's going to be an entire new continent called the Outland. It's going to be reachable through the Dark Portal. There are going to be more dungeons, more quests, more items. Does this mean that Blizzard were correct in increasing the level cap? Well, there's several ways to look at that. You can look at it from my perspective, where I say, well, I could see it coming. I sort of wish they hadn't, but I can understand why. You could see it from the perspective of a hardcore gamer saying, I've done everything in WoW, I want something new. You can also look at it from the perspective of a different kind of hardcore gamer that says, I've done everything in WoW and I've got all my equipment. Now adding 10 more levels makes all my equipment and effort obsolete. There are several ways to look at it. Neither any of them, none of them. You never know. It may be right, it may be wrong. The chances are that none of them are right. But then again, the chances are that none of them are wrong. Not at all. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And in this respect, I'm going to sit on the wait-and-see fence. I find it disappointing that Blizzard decided to do this, and it's unfortunate that they sort of fell into the trap of what other MMOs have done and said, well, we'll add more levels and people will keep playing. You're right, they will, but whether or not they'll be as satisfied as whether they would have been had you innovated in that respect, rather than simply increased the level cap and added more quests. Do you know? No, you don't. Neither do I. But I can pretty much say that I hope they're going to be putting a lot of effort into this 10 levels. Because if they don't, they're in the position where they will lose customers. They will. It's that simple. Some people are going to leave anyway. You know that for a fact. Some people will look at that, 10 more levels, however, 20 million experience points or whatever you're going to require, and they will say no. Some people are going to look at it and say, well, this is going to take me 10 days. Which makes me think, was the content even worth putting in the first place? So many ways to look at it. Are they right? Are they wrong? Are they neither? We just don't know. You listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. This is Danzig. This is Mother. Enjoy.